Scott Reynolds of PewterReport.com. First of all, let's go back to that first fumble because you said to me off camera, going to give him a pass on that one. So now I'm going to put you on the spot. Yeah. Why is that, you think?
Well, Donovan Smith, right, he does his job by wheeling Randy Gregory around the quarterback. And more often than not, that should be enough. That should be enough to allow the quarterback to step up and run. And maybe Jameis should have ran the ball in that instance, but he was looking downfield, getting ready to throw. He had no idea Randy Gregory was behind him. And at the end of the day, offensive linemen are supposed to pass protect and mirror the guy in front of them. And if Donovan Smith does his job, Randy Gregory doesn't get that sack fumble, Jameis Winston doesn't lose it, and the Cowboys don't get a touchdown. So I'm going to put that on Donovan Smith. He has not had a good year, and it's a crime because he's in his contract year, Dan.
Interesting stuff. Now, offensively, this was another day where the Bucs move the ball. Yeah. They get to the red zone. Can't cash it in. This is kind of the musical chairs, if you will. What did you see today in this game?
It's the same old song and dance. The first rule of football is don't beat yourself, right? And that's what the Buccaneers do. They can't get out of their own way. And I think it goes back to Dirk Cutter and the coaching staff, honestly. This was not really a close game. It ended up being a 7-point game, and Dirk Cutter is now 6-12 over the last 2 years in those games. So that's not good enough. And it's going to cost him his job. And I really believe that this Buccaneer team just simply can't get out of its way. And I don't think there's enough accountability along the offensive line, which has played horribly this year. Why is Brent Grimes even playing? He looks disinterested. They had to talk him out of retirement. So I just think that this is the beginning of the end for Dirk. Well, it's not the beginning. This is about the end of the end for Dirk Cutter.
All right, offense, you mentioned getting out of your own way. Ryan Jensen had a holding call in the very first series of the game that pushed the team back after a big completion to Mike Evans. But it wasn't just the O-line. Anthony Auclair had a holding call on a big run by Peyton Barber. And it just seems like when that happens, disaster follows after that.
Sure.
How is this continuing to take place?
Well, and also, too, let's not forget Jameis Winston, right, on 4th and goal at the 1-yard line.
A delay of game.
Gets a delay of game. And again, where's Dirk Cutter running down the sidelines calling for timeout? Well, and he said after the game, well, I thought that they were going to get the snap off in time. Well, you can't make sure of that by calling a timeout. I mean, you have to help your quarterback out in that situation. And I thought Jameis did not play well. Dirk Cutter didn't coach well. And what's new? The Buccaneers lose again.
I was going to ask you about Jameis's decision-making and throws in this game. He wound up with the numbers. He had over 330, 336. Nice touchdown at the end to Mike Evans there on a route that the Cowboys defender
too really
late. Blew it. But they were now chasing a 2-score game at that point.
And I didn't think Jameis played bad in terms of his decision-making with the football, throwing the ball. I thought he was okay. He was under duress the whole game. But again, what's new? This offensive line has not given him stellar pass protection all year. And it really, you kind of get numb to this and accustomed to seeing this, but then you watch other teams and you see this nice clean pocket those quarterbacks have to throw from. And you're like, why can't that happen in Tampa Bay, especially with the draft picks, with the high-priced free agents that they brought into this team? It's frustrating.
Defensively, Scott, there was plenty of good, but as we mentioned in the last segment, there was issues trying to get out of your own way here. And again, when something bad happens, it's like the next play or the ensuing series after it just turns into a disaster. It began with Darius Taylor early in the game.
Oh, yeah. Vita Vea's got some tremendous pressure right in Dak Prescott's face, forces a quick errant throw right to Darius Taylor's midsection, hits him right in the belly. And that's probably at least an interception, but it very well could be a pick six. And those are the type of plays that only come around a couple of times a game. You get so many few opportunities, and you got to cash in. And quite frankly, this Buccaneer defense hasn't done enough of that this year. Vita
Vea, you mentioned him getting in Prescott's face. Had his sack today, but he could have had 2 because on one of them, and it was a critical sack at the time, there's a flag thrown, and until you saw the replay, you didn't realize what the call was. I mean, he flat out had a handle on Dak Prescott's face mask. Is that just unfortunate, or is that, again, a discipline type thing when you're in the backfield? I know you're just reaching out there.
Yeah.
But how does that happen?
Well, it is unfortunate. That's the best way you can say it. And like you just said, Dan, you get that sack opportunity, but they call the face mask, and you have an opportunity to push them outside of the red zone with that sack. Now they're right by the goal line, and then they scored a touchdown on the next play. Yeah. So it's just the domino effect. It's when one bad thing happens, it doesn't stop for the Buccaneers. It just continues.
All right, you mentioned Brent Grimes before it, and we hate to pick on a veteran guy who's done so much in this league. However, a couple of plays today. Yes, it looked like his man was definitely behind him on the touchdown pass. I don't know where he was 4 or 5 steps behind.
Yeah, you know, and the unfortunate thing is whenever you have to talk somebody out of retirement, that's a bad sign. And I think in hindsight, Jason Light, Dirk Cutter made a major mistake by convincing Brent Grimes to come back and paying him $8 million. I mean, talk about some grand theft larceny going on. I mean, he has not earned his paycheck at all this year. He has not been the player that they expected him to be, and he has been, you know, contact avoidant. I mean, he is counting down the moments till his career ends, and it's going to happen soon. And I don't know why he's out there playing, to be honest. If I'm the Buccaneers, I play some younger guys and get some other players out there that want to play, hit, and tackle.
Well, maybe it's something they visit this week. All right, the run game. Ezekiel Elliott, 85 yards, and that happened to be the same exact total he had against Indianapolis a week ago. I think the running game, the running defense was pretty good. Remember, it was shredded last week up in Baltimore.
Yeah, and I thought they did a pretty good job on Amari Cooper, too. I think this Buccaneer defense played well, but not well enough. They didn't have enough sacks, enough takeaways to really cash in. You saw that Carlton Davis had a nice forced fumble, and Carl Nassib was right there to recover it and just didn't get it. Those are the little plays that the Buccaneers have not had go their way this year, and as a result, you wind up in a 7-point loss. And I think the defense, again, you look at the final score, 27-20. The defense only gave up 20 of those points.
Right.
Because there was the scoop and score by Dallas on the
fumble,
defensive side. Yeah.